our senses, right? We can see, taste, touch, smell, hear.
Don't run, no retreat. Stay in your lane, get out the way, yo. Beep, beep. Cause when I'm on go, there ain't no stopping. Holla, ski, ski. Yeah, I'm 3 crazy nigga. You can ask my cousin Bree. How we get that dough in? Sip lean until we fall asleep. Fuck it, then we wake up in the morning with the pee-pee. Wanna turp and get the word so I can eat. Hey, run it up.
You can try it if you want to.
Hey, run it up.
Bet it's something that you won't do.
Hey, run it up.
We stay ready all the time, fool.
Run it up.
Motherfucker, this ain't high school. Touch me with them dick beaters, motherfucker, if you want to. I knock your ass out with this motherfucking 1-2. K-Land's finest Southside pioneer. Get down and dirty with the rest of them. Let's make it clear. Can't hold me down, I'm like a lion out the cage. Ready putting motherfuckers on the front page. When it comes to me and mine, you gon' lose every time. Young punks don't fight, so I'm holding baby 9.
Hey, run it up.
You can try it if you want to.
Hey, run it up.
Bet it's something that you won't do.
Hey, run it up.
We stay ready all the time, fool.
Run it up.
Motherfucker, this ain't high school.
Hey. Dangerous thoughts.
Hey. Oops, that's the wrong one. Hey, run it up.
I can try it if I want to.
Motherfucker, this ain't high school. Welcome to Dangerous Thoughts. I'm your host, Manu Ntereme. This is your co-host, Tyson Strausberg. We're both hosts. There's no hierarchy here. We're equal human beings here, thinking dangerously. On a show called Dangerous Thoughts, which is a show about diving into the deepest of topics that we can come up with. Fringe sciences, politics, anybody that's up to anything interesting, we're interested to talk to them. And we often talk about things that are uncomfortable to talk about. And we believe that talking about things and having conversations about uncomfortable topics is what we need to do more of. Also, putting people together that have conflicting points of view and hoping that those people learn from each other. That's our show. Dangerous Thoughts. So if you're easily offended, there's other things to watch. Turn the channel. I dare you, pussy. Turn the.
Hey, we're too great. We're too great. Why, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this.
I'm just kidding. We love all of our listeners.
They're taking you seriously.
They're taking me seriously, but we just went, okay, you don't want me to watch your show? No, you, Manu. So our sponsors, Click Tight. Go check out the Click Tight album. Take it to them. It's available everywhere you stream or download music. Click Tight X Rattlesnakes Texlarado will also be coming out later this year. And in a week, Click Tight single called Coming Through will be available everywhere you download music. Also, if you want to support us, you can go to gemsticks.com. That's GEMSTX.com and buy yourself a gemstick. A gemstick is this wonderful piece of machinery. You put flowers in it of any kind, and you spin it, and the flower oil comes out the other end. And I have been told that you can smoke some flower oils, but I'm not certain. Gemsticks.com, use the code word Manu, and that'll help us support the show. Plus, you'll get 10% off. We want to quickly say that the views that are shared on this program tonight in no way reflect the views or opinions of anyone who may or may not be associated with Dangerous Thoughts. We would also like to offer our friends and our families full plausible deniability for anything we may or may not say on this show. And if you would like to be credited, a lot of times in our credit videos, we use funny videos that we find around the world, and we try to say thank you to the people that build them because they're hilarious. And we will always try to say thank you. But if you'd like to be credited, give us a call. We always want to use stuff fair use and attract people to your channel and your social media as well. All right. So now that I've put that out there, I want to thank everyone that's listening. Tyson, topics of the week. What do you got? What happened this week? What's important to you to talk about?
Oh, it happened this week. We are, I believe, just 2 weeks and 2 days. So 2 and 2 away from election day.
You're like Chuck Woolery. We'll be back in 2 and 2.
2 and 2. Yeah, Chuck Woolery. 2 and 2. Oh, God, you remember him.
I'm
You're
old.
older than I thought I was older than you, but Jesus, you remember the 2 and 2. We'll be back in 2
We'll
and
be back
2.
in
Chuck
2
Lorre.
and 2.
Jesus.
So in 2 and
I never
2
knew what
is
that meant. Actually, I still don't.
2 minutes, 2 seconds.
2 minutes, 2
2
seconds.
minutes, 2
Ah,
seconds.
okay.
Yes.
That's
Well,
the-
we've got 2 weeks, 2 days till you go vote. And voting, no matter who you're going to vote for, register to vote. In most places, October 21st, that's tomorrow, is the deadline to register in many states. Make sure you go register to vote. You can, in some states like California and others, register on the same day as long as you have a photo ID. You can register to vote and vote on the same day. But please vote.
yeah, vote. Just vote. Participate.
Yeah,
For spark's sake.
you know what pisses me off more than anything is I'll talk to some of my friends and I don't like the direction the country is going in, blah 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 blah. I'm like, well, who did you vote for? And who did you vote for? They're like, oh, I didn't vote. Well, then shut the fuck up. If you don't vote,
it's like our producer Cassie. He's an anarchist, and he thinks that voting is just rigged and it's all rigged and
I've
it's
already filed my
pointless.
ballot. It came in the mail, and I filed it.
Did you vote already? Because I did too.
I filed it under G for garbage.
For garbage.
So okay, well, for everybody else, the other
It's an important election,
99.99%.
man. There's a Christian nationalist trying to take over our country and make it.
No. Those nasty
Do not
Christian.
vote for these bastards. Do not vote for Donald Trump. We do not want a country where Jesus makes law. Knock it off.
The Christian nationalists are a
Fascists.
Yes.
really awful Christian national. No, Trump isn't even that. That would be a step up for Trump. Trump is not a Christian anything. Like, I mean, how do you get married 3 times, hump a porn star while your wife's giving birth, and hold a Bible upside down while you're clearing protesters? He's not a Christian.
Well, no, that's the beautiful thing about being a Christian. You're forgiven for everything.
I will send somebody money. Show me a picture of Trump in church.
I don't think Jesus would forgive Trump for putting the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and I think one other document into the Bible.
Into the Bible, yes, because the word of Trump and the word of Christ are obviously on
and
the
all
same.
These Christian nationalists thinking that Jesus actually sent an imperfect human being to do his perfect. It's the most ridiculous.
Oh, sure, yeah, send an imperfect person, but not the most imperfect that he could possibly find. Like, let me go, dredge up. It'd be richer. It'd be It'd be easier for a rich man to go through the eye of a needle than to enter the kingdom of heaven. Biblical stuff, right? So you're going to pick the Antichrist to bring the Christian message.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And Christians
believe it, and there's a big group of them that believe it. It's infuriating to me. And this is the other topic that I kind of wanted to speak tonight, and they kind of speak to tonight, and they kind of go together. I'm really sick of these Christians and Muslims and other religious folk that are so gung-ho about their name of God that they're willing to fight in his name. And Christian nationalists are very much that type of person. Let's go kill in the name of God, because we are God's chosen and all that shit.
It's same Christians.
Very dangerous group. We do not want their mascot with his red face in charge. So
but those same Christians that ran me out of church because I'm an openly gay man. Oh, you're gay. You're going to hell. Get out of my church, whatever. Those same people are tripping over themselves to vote for the 3-time married porn star humping, 30 some odd convictions, twice impeached. How do I go on? Like, they're tripping over themselves to vote for this guy. He's Jesus 2.0.
Well, they're eating our cats. So who are you going to vote for?
Oh my God, JD Vance. I'm just like,
I have to say, my dangerous thought for the night is,
I knew Cassie was going to start talking.
I love you, bro, but what you're saying right now, I feel like that's the Democrats' campaign. That's what they're campaigning on, is fuck Trump. And it was literally just last week when Kamala came out and she's like, everybody's been saying that nobody has seen policies of mine, because that's what she's been campaigning on. And so she has on her website her On the Issues. I went through and I read that, and it's a lot of communism. It's
I
a
would rather
lot
have
of communism.
socialist
So what does
communist.
Trump have in his
I would rather
website,
have
though?
a socialist communist Pee Wee Herman running our country than Donald Trump.
I see the
sorry.
options are like I see like
Look,
Kamala
the
Harris
world's
as
gonna suck either
communism,
way.
Trump is fascism, and then I see
Fascism.
like the libertarians are like the woke light, and their candidates nothing in my opinion. And then there's
No.
Jill Stein, which is I guess like socialism.
Is she on the ballot? Jill Stein?
But
Yes, she
listen,
is.
everyone's on the ballot. This is America. You have
Yep.
the
Well,
right.
that's
to
like her
vote for
fourth
anyone
cycle on
you
the
wanna vote
ballot.
for. I wish people would just start voting for the person they wanted to be in office instead
well,
of the greater of two evils play
need
that they keep
politics.
running. on them.
I know that Cassie's gonna hate me for this. I actually like Kamala Harris. I'm voting for her because I like, not because I think she's the lesser of two evils. I like her. And yeah, she's not perfect. Yes, she's done some wrong things. She was a prosecutor. I have been prosecuted in the past. So, you know, I get it. But
Yeah.
I still like her. I'm still voting for her. And I respect. And here's something that she says that Donald Trump doesn't say. She says, "I'll be a president for all people." Even if you voted for Donald Trump, I'll still be your president. I'll still do. Trump is like, "Fuck you. If you voted for her, you're under my boot as soon as I come into power."
Nice from Slick Stumped. That's really hard to say. XLX Humped reacts. We need a real third option from now on. Yeah, we do. And we need to install ranked choice voting, and we need
Yes,
to
that's what ranked choice, and a lot of that'll get the third parties in. If we do that, we'll get our Ross Perot's and our other people lined up. If we have forced ranking, they'll have a chance. And I am pro forced rank, and I'm also pro get rid of the fucking electoral college. Let's have one person, one vote.
Yeah, I'm so sick of watching the electoral college steal the popular vote. That's ridiculous. In a real democracy, that wouldn't happen. Okay, so let's get off politics. But God, don't vote for that guy. He's going to ruin. If Trump wins, it's another. You think it was bad the first time? Oh my God.
But what, Manu? What if it's written in the stars? What if the stars could tell us what's going to happen in the next few months?
Well,
what if astrology had something to do with, you know, can I look at Venus rising and know who my president's going to be on January 20th? Do we know?
You know what's great about that? We have the perfect person to talk to this week. We have an actual astrotheologist, Micah Dank, on the program tonight. Our special guest, Micah Dank, is an astrologist, knows about astrotheology, and knows all about what the stars are telling us. So maybe he'll have that answer for us. Is Micah backstage? Can we bring out our guest this week? All right, sweet. Micah Dank, welcome to the program. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Hey.
All right. How are you, sir?
What's going on, everyone?
How you
You're
doing?
looking gangster now, and at the top of the program with Click Type playing with your glasses and the you were looking gangster then too, man. I loved it.
Yeah, welcome to the show. We go from gangster to Homeland Security in one podcast. We are that great.
Donald's a gangster. He's like the gangster of all gangsters.
He's more of mob than gangster, but whatever.
Not the gangster. Well, I like mob gangsters, but not the gangster.
There's no such thing as the mob.
Okay, so Micah Dank has wrote a bunch of books on esoterics, alchemy. And he presents his stuff in a fictional theme, much like the Da Vinci Code. He's wrapped his series with veils of mysteries from start to finish. And he's also, if you go to his website, which is in the description below, I believe. Am I right about that? You'll see he has an extensive knowledge of esoterics, the meanings of religion, the connection of the secret language hidden in plain sight around the world, disguised as themes within common religions across the world. So let's get started. I'm excited to talk to you. And I think I want to start just with astrology in general. How long have you been studying astrology, and what got you into it?
So the way you have to think about it is you have astrology and you have astrotheology. They're basically cousins under the same umbrella. Just because you're good at one doesn't mean you're good at another. What I have done is I've identified a pattern that appears in every ancient holy text, including the Bible, all the way back to the Sumerians, to the Quran. And I'm going to share my research with you guys
And Koble
to me,
Teple,
I think that
Teple
this
actually has that too.
What pattern is this that you're talking about? That exists
15,000
within
years
yeah, I
ago.
get to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mhm.
I didn't mean to.
So the best way to explain this is basically to show you. So I have a presentation that I want to go through quite long. Come on.
I'm down.
It's quite long, so we might have to do this in 2 if you like it.
Okay.
But I would love to start teaching you this stuff, because this is how the world is full of religious arguments, religious strife. Everything is just coming from that, and it's never going to get better because people don't understand what they're reading. The Bible is an occult book. It's the most occult book that was ever written. And oh, Mala's here. Yeah, has Mala told you about my work?
Yeah. Actually, she presented the script I'm going off of tonight that I keep cheating off of. Maul is wonderful. And I also,
Nice. Okay.
I know a little bit about the history of the Bible and the Council of Nicaea and how they've used the book as a weapon and all that stuff. But I'd love to hear your presentation. Can you share your screen with us? Are you going to do something like that, or what are we doing?
I already did.
It's all ready to go.
All right, cool, man. Let's do it. I'd like to learn. This is fun. We've never done anything like this.
Okay. So guys, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to explain to you what the point of the Bible and what the point of all this is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. Do you guys have like biblical backgrounds at all? I know you guys aren't religious. I could tell right away. But
I was raised a Christian, so yeah, I do.
I was raised Catholic, but I'm not religious either.
Okay, but so you guys have exposure.
I have exposure to it because, and I've read it front to cover in my early 20s, the Bible at least, not the Quran. But I also know that like Mithra and Osiris and all these 30 other gods of recycled stories that have made their way into the Bible is like, I know.
Well, that's what I'm going to explain to you tonight. I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to explain to you the why. So. Cool. I'll go to my presentation real quick. Now, guys, I can't see you when I'm doing the presentation, so if you need me, just holler, okay?
Cool.
And I'll bring you guys into it. I'll bring you guys into this presentation so that you guys can help me explain to your audience, right? Because you guys have a little bit of religious background. Okay, so let's just start right away. So, like I said, because what's going to happen is as I start to explain this to you guys, you're going to have questions immediately about why. What is the purpose of all this? So let me explain it to you right now.
Okay.
What is the point of this? We take for granted watches, weathermen. The ancients didn't have any of that. They had sundials. In the Bible, they worked on dream interpretation for harvest. They had to know things. They needed to know Taurus was when you put the plow on the bull and plant, as above, so below. The Bible is an encoded farmer's almanac and was the knowledge of staying alive, the most important thing. They would look at the stars and see all this movement and make stories up about them and pass it on to their children, then them to their children. And what happened eventually is they learned how to read and write. They learned how to write, and they wrote them down first on clay tablets and then, go on, and evolved from Sumerian to Babylonian to the Egyptians to Judaism, and then, the Old Testament, then to the Christians and the New Testament. The greatest story ever told is the only story ever told because it's how we stay alive. I'm going to teach you this, guys. I'm going to open the Bible up to you in a way that you've never heard, and you guys are just your jaw's going to hit the floor. So before I start, I usually like to give this quote. I say, my point once again is not that those ancient people told literal stories and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. Okay, so let me just see here for a second. I'm going to get rid of these because I don't need these slides. I don't want them anywhere. I thought I deleted them anyway. Anyway, let me get rid of these. Okay, this is the zodiac, guys. All right?
Okay.
We're going to use this the entire time. Now, the way the zodiac is situated, you see Cancer at the top, and that's how the zodiac is supposed to look. Because when the sun is at the top in Cancer, that's the summer. And when the sun is at the bottom in Capricorn, that's the winter. and what this and we'll get into all that now. Astrotheology, I've traced it back to this, the Lascaux caves, which were about 17,000 to 40,000 years ago. Here are two articles here, the Lascaux cave painting 17,000 years ago, and then the other one, the world's oldest cave painting shows humans understood complex astronomy 40,000 years. It is the most important thing because it's how we stay alive. Now, what the Lascaux caves are these caves in Lascaux, France. That's why they're called the Lascaux caves. What happened was, it's just like the Dead Sea Scrolls story. What basically happened is these teenagers went in to the cave, and they went to the back of the cave. And when they went to the back of the cave, they saw things like this. This is just two examples, okay? I didn't want to put all of them on. But basically, you see the bull on the left, and you see the lion on the right. Well, guess what? The bull is Taurus, and the lion is Leo. Okay. Now, what they did was they called people as soon as they found this to come in. And what they did was they carbon dated this, and it came out to about 17,000 years. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Christians will always, and I'm going to give you the Christian counter argument too, and I'm going to debunk them too. The Christians will sit here and tell you that astrology is crap and everything, right? And they'll also tell you that 17,000 years is way before then. But here's the thing. What happened was the people that came in, they carbon dated it to 17,000 years. And then what they did was they brought in an astronomer and an astrologer in with the computer, because we have the technology to do what I'm about to tell you. What they did was they rewound the sky back 17,000 years. And what they did was they saw what the stars looked like, and they printed it out. And when they superimposed what they found onto these paintings, all the constellations lined up in perfect place. So
Wow.
We've known about astrology for about 17,000 years. Now, the Christians are going to sit here and tell you that carbon dating is inaccurate, and that's one of their biggest arguments. Now, here's the thing. They're half right about this, so I give them a little bit of credit, but they're wrong. Carbon 14 dating is actually accurate up to 50,000 years. Beyond that, when they start carbon dating things and they tell you it's 60 million, it's bullshit. Oh, can I curse?
Yeah, it's fine.
I forget. Sorry.
No worries.
Okay. So
Be you. You be you,
carbon
man.
dating is accurate up to 50,000 years. Okay. And I told you this was 17,000 years, so it was well within. After carbon dating, 50,000 years, you got to use like uranium dating or other types of dating. But they used carbon 14 and then they superimposed it. So we've known about astrology for 17,000 years. Now, in the Bible, right, there are questions that you can ask. How Jesus was able to heal the blind, how he walked on water, how he turned water into wine, why he had 12 disciples, why he was betrayed with a kiss by Judas, why was he dead for 3 days, why is his birthday on December 25th? Everything I just told you is astrology, and I'm going to show it to you.
Yeah, I know a little bit about this one, the star that stops in the sky for 3 days and then starts moving upwards again.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt.
Let lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night. Let them be signs to mark the seasons, days, and years. And that is exactly what the Bible is, the whole Bible. Now we'll keep watching. Each zodiac sign is called a house, or an era, or an eon, or a sign. There are many words for it, but I just want you to be aware of that because they make mention of this. Now, I'm going to teach you the 12 signs in a way that you've never heard them before, and I'm going to tell you the mythology around it. And each sign has keywords that attach to the sign, which will make complete sense to you. If I say Taurus is the bull, so bull, calf, ox, for example. So each one of these have keywords. And what we're going to do is we're going to take those keywords for these 12 signs, and we're going to decode every text that has ever been written. And it's that simple. So check this out. Aquarius is the first sign that I talk about, which is represented by the man with the water pitcher. Now, technically, Aries begins the year, right? It's the spring harvest, but it's the spring, March 21st. But I start with Aquarius because that's the beginning of our year, and I'll explain why too. Now, the story of Aquarius goes back to the story of Zeus and the young boy. Now, what is Zeus and the young boy? Zeus and the young boy is a story of Zeus who saw a 14-year-old blonde boy. This is very specific. A 14-year-old blonde boy on Earth that he wanted up on Mount Olympus or heaven. And the boy's dad wouldn't let him go. So Zeus ends up like bargaining with him and giving him like money, land, animals, and stuff. Anyway, the boy gets to go up to heaven or Mount Olympus. And while he's up there, just like in this picture, he's feeding all the gods something called ambrosia, which is the nectar of the gods.
Nectar of the gods.
And while he's doing what?
He just said nectar of the gods.
I just said nectar of the gods. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, which is the nectar of the gods. And he's doing this for what seems like forever, day in and day out. So one day he just gets pissed, this kid, and he goes to the side of heaven with the water pitcher and pours it out. And that's where the Greeks get their flood story from, because the ambrosia flooded earth. Now, Zeus, who's usually a deviant god, sexually and all this stuff, gets angry very often, judgmental.
He's like Jehovah in the Old Testament.
Like Yahweh, yeah. Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry,
we'll get into that. Okay. So, what he does, he pours it out, and then Zeus, instead of punishing him, he thinks to himself, which was rare for Zeus. Zeus thinks to himself, you know what? I really shouldn't have brought the guy up. So you know what? Instead of punishing him, I'm going to immortalize him as the constellation Aquarius, as the man pouring it out. Now, the key words for Aquarius. And I don't expect you to remember the key words right now, even though I'm going to teach them to you. This is your first time seeing this. But I will tell you this. I want you to be able to, when I start to explain other things, just be like, oh, yeah, he did say that at the beginning. Okay? So the key words are son of man and man, because Aquarius is the sign of the man, whereas Virgo is the sign of the woman. Okay? Man. Baptism, because this is how you baptize someone. What you do is you put a child under there, or a baby or an infant or a confused adult, and that's how you
God's
baptize.
Water on their head. Yeah,
exactly. Okay. Water pitcher, fountain, water pitcher because it's a water pitcher, fountain because all the Greek statues, the fountains were built like that. Then water bodies, stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea. Now I told you Aquarius was an air sign, but because there's water in the picture, this is how the Bible and other texts encoded water. Now the second sign is Pisces that I talk about, which is literally two fish in the water and is a mutable water sign. Okay. So whenever you're talking about stream, river, pond, lake, sea, ocean, the same thing as Aquarius, basically. Now, the way that you know that the difference between the two waters has to do with the patterns that it's going to make in the heaven, which I'm going to teach you how to read properly. Now, in Aries, you have the ram. In Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day and a 12-hour night. It's also the Passover. So there's three types of Passovers that happen in Aries. The first is the oldest, which is the AstroTheological one, which is when the sun passes over the equator and start to make its way up to its height in the summer solstice. The Jews changed this because the Passover becomes when the angel of death passes over all the houses in Egypt, and anyone that doesn't have the lamb or the ram's blood, Aries the ram, anyone that doesn't have the lamb's blood on their doorposts, identifying themselves as the people of the age of Aries, their firstborn sons get killed. Now the Christians changed this, and this becomes the resurrection of God's son. So the key words would be ram, lamb, shepherd, ram's horn. Now Taurus is the bull, and I mentioned this earlier. When you look at the sky, and you, this is really as above, so below, guys. That's what it is. And as above, so below is not an evil saying. Okay, it's you see it in the stars. It's happening on Earth. When you see the bull in the sky, you have to put the plow on the bull on Earth, because that's when you have to start digging so you can plant. Now we have John Deere equipment that does this kind of stuff, and labor and everything. But they used to use a bull back in the day. What you do is you plant the seeds so that you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So bull, ox, calf, or cow being the female bull, is Taurus. Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. Manu, Castor and Pollux Troy. Oh, you know what? We'll get to this in the second part. Never mind. So the story of Achilles. So whenever you're talking about twins or brothers, that's Gemini. Now Cancer is the crab, and it's the sideways moving creature. So watch what I do here. You see this right here?
Yeah.
On December 25th, the sun rises a degree on its axis. On the 26th, an additional degree. On the 27th, an additional degree. The days are getting longer, the nights are getting shorter, it's getting warmer. When it hits June 21st, the first day of Cancer, that is the summer solstice. That is the longest day of the year, the shortest night of the year. Now, what it's going to do for 3 days after that is it's not going to rise higher or drop lower. It's going to walk sideways, much like the crab walks sideways. That's why the crab is Cancer, because it walks sideways for 3 days. Then on June 25th, it's going to drop a degree, and it's going to follow the opposite pattern. Now it's going to drop an additional degree every day. Now the nights are getting longer, the days are getting shorter. The crab in the ancient Egyptian time was known as the scarab. So whenever you're talking about crab or beetle, that's Cancer. Now, Leo is the king, the lion, the king of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you're talking about lion, lioness, or cub, that's Leo. Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. So remember before when I said that you plant in Taurus, the virgins would go out and cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you're talking about virgin, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, these are all things that are harvested in the northern hemisphere 2,000 to 4,000 years ago and still to this day during Virgo. Virgo is the harvest season. Now, Libra is the justice, the scales, the balance, the justice. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. The Jews always celebrate the new year around the fall equinox, which is interesting. Last year, the Jewish New Year was September 15th, which is in Virgo. Now, 8 days after the Jewish New Year, and it's always 8 days, there's a day called Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. It's the Day of Judgment. Well, 8 days after September 15th is September 23rd. That's the first day of Libra. The scales, the judge. Of course, the Day of Judgment is going to be in Libra. So whenever you're talking about things like law, judge, justice, the just one, as Jesus is called, divorce, marriage, court, Libra is also wine season. And if you know any Italians, you know that that is when you crush the grapes, is in Libra, in order to make it. So wine, vineyard, wine press, words such as that. It's also olive oil season. This is when you crush the olives and you make the oil. So all law-related things, all wine-related things, and all olive-related things. Okay, that's Libra. Scorpio is the scorpion, and he is known as the betrayer. When a scorpion bites you, or technically stings you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips. And that's where the mafia gets the phrase, the kiss of death. It's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with the kiss. So the sun is going to be judged in Libra with the scales and betrayed in Scorpio. And finally in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow, the man with the bow and the arrow on the horse, shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun. This is where the sun dies. Why? Because on December 21st, the sun is at its lowest point. It cannot rise any lower. It's dead. It's the beginning of winter. It's the first day of winter, December 21st. Now, remember how it walks sideways like a crab? It's going to walk sideways here too. December 21st through the 24th, it's going to stay at that lowest point. The ancients used to look out into the sky on these 4 days. And they used to see that the sun wouldn't crack the horizon. So they used to say that God's sun was dead. And then it's going to walk sideways for 3 days at the bottom. So suddenly God's sun was dead for 3 days. When on December 25th, or the birth of God's son, and every single God that has ever been is born on December 25th, because the sun comes back to life and it rises another degree and starts to make its way back to the top. So whenever you're talking about horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman, that's Sagittarius. And then finally you have Capricorn, who's the goat. Now, if you look at the zodiac right here and you look for Capricorn, it's at the very bottom of the wheel. Now, if I put a little dot at the bottom of the wheel and I start walking it to the left, going a degree a day, it starts to climb up the great mountain of the zodiac on its way to its height in Cancer. Just like the goat climbs the mountain, which is why Capricorn is the goat, because it starts the great climb up the mountain December 25th. Now, there are names for Jesus that he has given. Now that I've given you the 12 signs, guys, and you have all the keywords, there are names given to Jesus in church that you guys are familiar with. So check this out. When the sun is in Capricorn, he is called the scapegoat of Israel, Capricorn the goat. When the sun is in Aquarius, the sign of the man, he is known as the Son of Man. When the sun is in Pisces, the two fish, he is the fisher of men, and it's also why he feeds the masses with two fish. He's the Lamb of God when the sun is in Aries. Cancer, the scarab. St. Augustine called Jesus the good beetle. And Christians love quoting St. Augustine to me, not knowing that he knows this or knew this. When the sun is in Leo, the lion, he is the Lion of Judah. The lady holding the stalk of wheat, Virgo, he is born of a virgin, and he is called the bread of life.
Bread of life. Holy
Libra is the
moly.
scale of justice. Libra is
Good
the
stuff,
scales
Micah
of
Dank.
justice.
Sorry.
Libra is the scales of justice. He is known as the just one. Then he's going to be betrayed in Scorpio. He dies in Sagittarius on December 21st. And it's also why he's worshipped on the Sunday. See, the Jews are a lunar Saturn-based cult. That's why their day of rest is on the Saturday or the Saturn day. Whereas the Christians worship a solar deity, Jesus, who's the sun. It's why he's worshipped on the Sunday. But I'm going to give you so much evidence for that. Now, I want you to look at this picture of Jesus on the left, okay? I just ripped this from the internet. You guys could do this too with any Jesus. So check this out, if this will work. The sun. You see the sun behind his head, how they always have the sun behind his head?
Always behind his head, yeah.
Because
Very
he's
often,
the
at
sun.
least.
Because he's the sun. The two fingers up like this, like I'm doing right now, this is an ancient Kemetic or Egyptian peace sign. This sign right here that people give in movies and TV shows, you know, the John Lennon peace sign, this is actually a war sign. This is the Churchill V for victory. So whenever you're giving this peace sign, you're not actually giving energy of victory. I mean, you're not actually giving energy of peace. This is the original peace sign. So when you see Jesus doing this, or you see Baphomet doing this, or you see Buddha doing this, or you see any of them doing this, they're telling you they're peaceful. Now, these are pictures of Jesus I ripped from the internet. The sun's behind his head. The sun's behind his head. The sun, okay? The heart on the outside of the body, which I'll get into right now. Okay? The white Jesus picture is actually a guy named Caesar Borgia, who was the bastard son of Pope Alexander VI. The face of Jesus that you guys recognize. That white face was actually a real
Borgia.
Guy. He was a Borgia, yeah. The face of Jesus is Caesar Borgia. I'm going to show you that too. Caesar Borgia was the bastard son of Pope Alexander VI. Now, popes used to have kids, and I'm sure some still do, but they can't get married, right? So all the kids are bastards. And Caesar Borgia, the face of Jesus, was a son of a bitch. He killed his brother.
Cesare was a motherfucker,
his sister, okay? And he's part of the Borgia 13 Illuminati families. Now, the crown of thorns wrapped around on the heart on the outside, and the heart is always on the outside, represents the rays of the sun. The heart outside the body represents the human toroidal field or the torus field. Now, here are the four pictures of Jesus, the sun, the heart, the two fingers. They show this to you all the time. Incidentally, in the first picture of Jesus on the right, where he has that hole in his hand, that's incorrect. If I crucified one of you guys like that, what would happen is you would be like this, and the nail would pull through your whole hand and you would fall forward. They crucified through the wrist. Anytime you see a hole in Jesus's hand, that's incorrect. Now,
there's almost no evidence, by the way, just to pitch in here a little bit, that they ever crucified anybody on crosses. It's very, very rare that they find crosses. It's usually a stake.
It is very rare. It is very rare. Incidentally, when you're crucified on a cross, you don't die from blood loss. You die from suffocation. But look at these baby pictures of Jesus. The sun behind his head, the sun behind his head, the sun behind his head.
Always the star in the sky. Yeah.
The North Star, that's Polaris. It's always right there. So, let me just continue. This is the toroidal field I was talking to you about. This is an electromagnetic field of the heart. This is the torus field. And what happens is you're in the middle of it, and it comes around you, and it kind of looks like an apple. And what happens is it interacts with other people. It has a 6-foot radius around your body. It's been measured, which is why the elites wanted to keep you 6 feet apart during the pandemic, to isolate. Okay, that's why. Now, when you're interacting with someone, it looks like this, and it makes a Vesica Pisces. Okay, so This is Caesar Borgia, and this is Jesus. And that is just a rough sketch of Caesar on the right, and that is where Jesus gets his features from. So, before the Shroud of Turin was discovered in 525 AD, almost all paintings and drawings of Jesus were shown as a young, beardless man. So, okay, now we went over some stuff. So I'm going to start asking you guys scripture, okay? Are you guys familiar with pride comes before the fall?
Of course.
Okay, please explain it to your audience.
Well, am I familiar with what it means that the pride comes before the fall?
Pride comes before the fall. Yeah.
I just thought that it meant that as soon as you become, self-aware and self-important and prideful, that's when you go to hell or
That's
become,
exactly what it means. But let me ask you a question. What do you call a group of lions?
A pride.
A group of lions is called a pride. Pride is the lion. The lion is Leo. Leo is in July and August. That comes before the fall.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in the book of Micah 5:2, which is my name.
And Leos are always very egotistical and full of themselves.
So in the book of Micah 5:2, it says, "But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from ancient times." However, you have to understand Hebrew, which I do. Bethlehem in 2 words. Bethlehem is 2 words in Hebrew. Bet, which means house, and lechem, which means bread. So the house of bread. Well, guys, remember how I told you each zodiac sign is called a house? Which is the house of bread? Wouldn't that be Virgo, the lady with the wheat stalk?
Bringing the wheat in the growing season.
This is Virgo with the wheat stalk, the virgin. So what they're saying is the Savior will come from Bethlehem. The Savior will come from a virgin. You see how they sneak that in?
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's read Deuteronomy 32.
I always find that really interesting, and I don't mean to throw you off base, but I was talking about Jesus with my lady earlier today, and she said, that first lady that came up with that whole virgin birth thing, wow, she was smart. So I'm wondering if you know how far back the virgin birth goes in the story.
Oh, I'll explain everything.
All right.
It's going to take me 2 sessions.
I get you. We'll go an extra half an hour today because I find this fascinating. So,
all right. So check this out. Deuteronomy 32. He gave them honey from the cliffs and olive oil from the rocky ground. He gave his people butter from the herd and milk from the flock. He gave them lambs and goats. They had the best rams from Bashan and the finest wheat. They drank the best wine from the juice of red grapes. But Jeshurun became fat and kicked like a bull. Without me breaking it down, you should be able to pick out a couple of those words. So he gave them honey. Now, in the sign Cancer, there is a small asterism, which is a tightly group of stars, called the beehive cluster, which is where the honey comes from. Olive oil, remember olives? That's Libra. That's when they're crushed from the rocky ground. He gave his people butter from the herd and milk from the flock. The milk comes from the Milky Way galaxy, whose center is in Sagittarius. Now, the first day of Cancer is the first day of summer. The last day of Sagittarius is the last day of fall. It's the beginning of winter. So from Cancer to Sagittarius, which is the right half of the zodiac, that is your land of milk and honey. It's not a place on earth. It's in the heavens. Now, he gave them lambs and goats. Those lambs are Aries and goats are Capricorn. They had the best rams, which is Aries, from Bashan, and the finest wheat, which is Virgo, the lady with the wheat stalk. They drank the best wine made from the juice of red grapes. That's Libra. But Jeshurun became fat and kicked like a bull. There are 10 signs in this one passage, guys. 10. So, let me see here. I think I have to close this a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Let me move this. I don't know why I did that. Now I'm going to teach you how to use the zodiac, okay? When we decode. So here's the zodiac. Jesus led his disciples to the Mount of Olives after his last Passover so that he could teach them a few more things, pray, then wait for Judas to betray him. While walking to the Mount of Olive, he gave the parable of the true vine. Let's break that down. Passover takes place in Aries, so find Aries on the zodiac wheel. It's all the way on the left. Where he walks to Mount of Olives. Olives are in Libra. Now, how do you go from Aries to Libra? If you look at the wheel, you just go across it. These are known as opposing signs. A sign next to it from Aries to Taurus would be a connecting sign. There are two patterns you can make, a connecting sign or an opposing sign. And that is all these scriptures do. So Passover takes place in Aries. After that, he walks to the Mount of Olives. Olives are in Libra. So you go across from Aries to Libra. Now you're in Libra. They are waiting for Judas to betray him. Who's the betrayer? Scorpio, right?
Coming right up next. Yeah.
Exactly. But you're not in Scorpio because they're waiting for the betrayer. So you're still in Libra.
Yeah.
So he gives the parable of the true vine, which has to do with grapes, showing that they're still in Libra. So this is how we start to break things down. This is how we start to show patterns. Now, and God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. The firmament is the dividing line between the zodiac signs. It is not a dome over a flat earth. It never was. It's not. And I'm going to show you real quick. Remember the two water signs that I talked to you about, Aquarius and Pisces?
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at this. The firmament is the dividing line, which divides the waters which were under the firmament, Pisces, from the waters which are above the firmament, Aquarius. They're talking about God creating the zodiac. Now, the first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. This is in Revelation, and people believe this is going to come out of the heavens.
Yeah.
Right? The first living creature was like a lion. That's Leo. The second was like an ox. That's Taurus. The third had a face like a man. That's Aquarius. The fourth is like a flying eagle. I'll explain the eagle real quick. In astrology, the Scorpio scorpion is the belly-crawling creature. It's the lowest form of life on earth. It slithers on its belly. What is the first thing God does to the serpent in Eden after the Great Deception? He takes away his legs.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a punishment. It's a low form of life. However, the eagle is the highest flying form of life. So you have a belly-crawling creature on the floor, and you have the highest flying form of life. The eagle is known as the ascendant for Scorpio, which is its evolved form. So Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio are the four fixed signs of the zodiac. You have 4 seasons and 3 signs in each season, which makes it 12 signs. Now, the first sign in a season is known as the cardinal sign, which is why there are cardinals in church. If I were to take one of these signs and break them down, in astrology, you can break them down into 3 10-day segments called deacons. That's why you have deacons and the cardinals in church.
Wow.
These are the 4 fixed signs. So you have the cardinal sign, and then you have the fixed sign. The reason it's called fixed is because it's the second sign. It's sandwiched between the two of them. It's the dead of the season. So Leo is in the middle of summer. Taurus is spring. Aquarius is winter. And the eagle or Scorpio is in the fall. So let me ask you a question. Let's read this again. The first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man. And the fourth was like a flying eagle. Now the lion, Leo, and the man, Aquarius, are opposing signs. The ox, Taurus, and the flying eagle or Scorpio are opposing signs. So is there really going to be a 4-headed animal coming out of the heavens for judgment, or is it just making this pattern in the zodiac?
Yeah, I always read Revelation and just think that whoever read it had quite a shroom trip. And that is a wild book. And these things come out of this hole, and they have all heads. Like, it's wild that I never put it together. That there's. My question to you now is what's the oldest sign of the zodiac? This map that you're showing us. What's our oldest evidence of it existing on tablets or existing anywhere?
They all exist as a unit. The only time they've really changed was in Egypt, where Leo became the Sphinx instead of the lion. And if you look at the constellation Leo, it looks exactly like the Sphinx.
Yeah.
And Cancer. Remember, Cancer wasn't always the crab, it was the scarab.
The beetle, the scarab, yeah.
Tells you this too in Ezekiel 10:14. Each of the cherubim had 4 faces. One face was that of a cherub. The second was the face of a human being. The third, the face of a lion. And the fourth, the face of an eagle. It's the same thing. Revelation 12. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. Again, people think this is really going to happen. It blows my mind. Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah.
A woman.
Big dragon's gonna knock the stars down. That makes.
But check this out. It will. A woman clothed with the sun. Is the sun clothed in Virgo? It's just a metaphor.
Yeah.
The sun clothed in Virgo. The Virgo is the woman. If a woman clothed with the sun, so that's the sun in Virgo. If the sun is in Virgo, the moon will be at her feet. So check this out. You have the zodiac wheel, and it's got 12 signs, okay? And a 24-hour a day clock. So just do the math. The sun spends 2 hours a day, every day, in each sign. If the sun is in Virgo, that's between 4 and 6 p.m. The sun is still out. So if the sun is still out, is the moon not at her feet? These are metaphors. This is poetry. This is poetry. Another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous dragon. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. The constellation Draco is the dragon. Its tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius, which is 4/12 of the signs, or 1/3 of the stars out of the sky. So indeed, the tail will swipe a third of the stars.
So wait a second. Seriously, Draco goes through 1/3 of the zodiac signs in the sky.
Right.
That's a
No,
fact.
Sirius is a whole nother star. Forget it. Keep going.
That was a good one.
Revelation 7:4. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. You guys know the Christians love that 144,000. The Jehovah's,
the Jehovah's love it a lot. They're like,
The
we
Jehovah's
are the
love it.
chosen 144 that are going.
right. They think only 144,000 people are going, and they're predestined. So it doesn't matter what you do. Like, your works don't matter. You're predestined to go there, which is a terrifying way to live. But I'm going to explain this to you guys. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
There are 7 chakras. The root has 4 petals. The sacral has 6. The solar plexus has 10. The heart has 12, and the throat has 14, which equals 48. The third eye chakra is represented by 96 and only has 2 petals because it's 2 times as powerful as the lower chakra. So 48 times 2 is 96. The crown chakra is 1,000 times more powerful than the lower 6 chakras. When you add the lower 6, you get 96 plus 48 equals 144. Times that by 1,000. There's your 144,000. What it's trying to tell you is when you've activated all your chakras, that is when you get to go see God.
And the chakras and this whole idea comes from where? From Indian scripture or in
the Bible is an amalgamation of everything before
it. Yeah.
Everything. And I'm going to show you all of it. And I'm going to show you how it's used against us in movies and TV shows and in commercials and music. And I'm going to show you all this. It's crazy. So check this out. I've given example. Oh, no, wait. Were we, this one. Matthew 10:16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. So be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. The sheep is Aries, and the wolf is the constellation Lupus, which borders the Libra line. Those are opposing signs. That's a pattern. The serpent is Ophiuchus, which is the serpent bearer. That sits between Scorpio and Sagittarius. That's in Vedic astrology, which is sometimes encoded into the Bible, but not often.
Yeah,
there's 2
the Vedas. You're talking about the Vedas in the
exactly
in the Bhagavad Gita, etc. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's the reason Ophiuchus isn't in our normal constellations, our normal 12 in what's called tropical astrology, has to do with the fact that we don't pass it on it's on the ecliptic. It's not on the ecliptic. So the site between so the dove is one of the 8 evolved forms of Scorpio, just like the eagle. And the phoenix mentioned earlier. So Libra, Scorpio, and Ophiuchus are 3 signs in a row. So you have an opposing sign, and now you have 3 signs in a row in one sentence. So I've given examples of astrotheology in the Old Testament, as well as the New Testament. I've been accused of cherry-picking verses from the Bible to prove a point. Let's take
that's what everybody does.
Let's take a much longer passage and see if we could decode it. Do you guys remember from your background the story of Job?
Job, no.
That's like the story of my life. Yeah.
Does Job get eaten by the whale, or is he go
No,
get all
that's
demon
Jonah.
possessed and turned into pigs?
No, that's Jonah. Job is the
Jonah.
guy who was
Job gets shit on
unemployed.
by everybody.
Yeah, he was unemployed. He was
whole
looking
life.
for a Job. He was looking for a Job.
So
he's
a job.
exactly, that's
Job.
where we
Called
get the word
job
job
today, yeah.
from.
Yeah.
That's where we get the word job from. Job.
Yeah.
Anyway, Job is
I
the
just said that,
oldest
yeah.
book in the Bible, and it's not even close. And I'm going to get into the Council of Nicaea, the Synod of Jamnia, where they canonized the Bible in the proper way. But
300 AD in Constantinople.
300 AD and counting.
So
Constantinople, yeah. Constantine.
So-
It was named after him. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So the story of Job is basically he was this dude who was the most righteous man. He was faithful to God. And what
So
happens?
he
is Satan
must
comes
have
up-
been a working class.
And Satan comes up to God and says, listen, the only reason that he loves you is because he's wealthy. He has animals, family, house, everything. So he says, I bet you if you took everything away from him, he would curse
love
you.
you so much. Yeah.
And God goes, okay, you can do whatever you want to him, but you cannot take his life. So little by little, he loses his family. He loses his house. He loses the animals. At one point, he's just sitting down and he's got boils all over him. And he's like sitting on a rock and he's talking to God for like 20 minutes. And he's just like complaining and all this stuff. And what I'm going to read to you is God's response to him. Okay, this isn't going to be good. Job 38:32. Can you lead forth the Mazzaroth? They leave the word Mazzaroth intentionally untranslated so you don't understand that the word Mazzaroth literally means the zodiac. That's what it means. Mazzaroth over time becomes Mazalot, which survives in Judaism today as Mazel Tov,
Mazel Tov. Okay.
which is good fortune from the
From the
stars.
stars. Yeah, I knew that one.
So what is the Lord's challenge to Job? He says, can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? See, these are open star metaphors in the book.
No doubt.
But then he says, can you bring forth the constellation in their seasons or lead out the bear with its cubs? The constellations are the zodiac above, and the bear and its cubs are Ursa Major, the Great Bear, and Ursa Minor, part of the Big Dipper. Who can tip over the water jars of heavens? Who's the guy with the water jar in heaven?
Aquarius.
Exactly. Who do you hunt the prey for the lioness and satisfy the hunger for the lions? Leo, the lion. Who provides food for the raven? That's the constellation Corvus, which means raven and was bordering on Virgo. Do you watch where the doe bears her fawn? Mriga, meaning deer, is located in Orion. Who let the wild donkey go free? This is Acellus Borealis, meaning donkey, and is located in Cancer. Will the wild ox consent to serve you? That's Taurus. You guys see where this is all going, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, who let the donks out? Whoop, whoop. Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
The wings of the ostrich flap joyfully. That's Lambda Achille or Al-Thaliman, which means two ostriches in Arabic. Do you give the horse its strength? So because they mentioned horse, we know it's Sagittarius, the horse. But let's see if we can find more information. It laughs at fear, afraid of nothing. It does not shy away from the sword. The quiver, there it is. The quiver. What is a quiver? It sits on the side of the horse with the arrow. So the man with the bow and the arrow on the horse, Sagittarius, can shoot them. Yeah. Does the eagle soar at your command and build its nest on high? That's Aquila, which is the Latin name for eagle and is a constellation a few degrees above the celestial equator. Finally, he says, can you pull Leviathan, who was a fish god, with a fish hook? That's Pisces. So God's entire retort to Job is nothing but astrology.
Yeah.
Psalm 104.
Basically, can you work your ass off all year and you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Well, is there, and just really quick, is there a difference between the Leviathan and the Kraken, or are they just two words for the same thing?
No,
two words for the same thing, I think.
The Kraken is something completely different. I don't go into the Kraken.
Okay.
But Leviathan is a fish god from the era of Pisces. Now, in Psalm 104, he says, he sends forth springs in their valleys. The wild donkeys quench their thirst. He causes the grass to grow for the cattle, and wine which makes man's heart glad, so that he may make his face glisten with oil. The high mountains are for wild goats. He made the moon for the seasons. The sun knows the place of its setting. The young lions roar after their prey. The springs are Aquarius. The wild donkey is Acellus Borealis, which is in Cancer. The cattle is Taurus, the bull. The wine is Libra, and the oil is Libra. The wild goats are Capricorn. The moon for the seasons, and the sun knows the place of its setting, is openly talking about the sun and the moon. And the lions roar after their prey are Leo. So, answers to the questions at the beginning. Now that you guys have a little juicy background going, how Jesus was able to heal the blind. Well, if Jesus is the man, the story in the Bible goes the man came up to Jesus and he was blind. And he asked Jesus to heal him, and he showed his faith, so Jesus did. So he basically took some dirt and put his fingers on his eyes. When the dirt fell away, he was able to see. But the sun does the same thing too. See, right now in New York, it's 10:06, and I'm looking outside, and it's black. I'm blind. But when Jesus the sun comes up, I have sight again. How he walked on water. Well, if you've ever gone fishing, you've seen the sun walk on water before. In fact,
Constantly, yeah.
More than that, Jesus' last name is Christ. Well, technically, that's not his last name. It's a title.
Christo.
But Christ in Greek is Christos, which means oil. Doesn't oil also walk on water?
Sure does.
You see this triple entendre right here?
Well, in January, almost everybody can walk on water. It's frozen.
Exactly. How he turned water into wine. Turning water into wine is a procedure. It is not a parlor trick. So what happens is, remember in Taurus, as above, so below, you see the bull, you put the plow on the bull. So you plow the land and you plant the seeds for your grapes, and then you cover them up. And then again, Taurus, right? April showers bring May flowers. That's Taurus. So it rains and it rains and it rains and it rains and it rains. And then boom, suddenly you're in Libra and the grapes are up. You pick them up and you crush them. That's how you turn God's water into wine. Why he had 12 disciples? Each of the disciples represent one of the zodiac signs. For example, Thomas Didymus is Gemini, the twin. In Hebrew, Ta'om or Tom means twin. Didymus in Greek means twin, the two twins. Each one of these zodiac signs, Judas would be Scorpio, the betrayer. John the Baptist would be Aquarius, baptizing everyone. So I'm not going to go into all of them. I just want to give you a couple of examples. Why he was betrayed with a kiss by Judas, we went over that. Why was he dead for 3 days? We went over that. Why is his birthday on December 25th? We went over that. And now you can tell this to people. Now, this science only works in the Northern Hemisphere. And there's a reason for that. The Egyptians, Jews, Christians, and Muslims are all based out of the Northern Hemisphere. For example, June 21st, the summer solstice, is actually the winter solstice in Australia and New Zealand, much of South Africa and South America. Now, if I were to go to... But it doesn't stop there. It's not just random passages in the Bible that can be decoded this way. We're going to go through the entire book of Matthew, which won't take us long, to show how deep this runs. So what I've done for you guys is I put the zodiac on the left so you can follow along. And I've circled where we are in the zodiac, and I'm going to explain why we are. Now, you guys have the background on the 12 signs, so you guys know the key words. Matthew 3:2. Repent of your sins and turn to God, for the kingdom of heaven is near. Each gospel begins at one of the 4 major points of the zodiac, the 4 seasons, 4 gospels, and ends at one of them as well, too. The 2 solstices and the 2 equinoxes, when connected, form a cross. This is known as the cross of God's Son that he carries to his death in Sagittarius. The kingdom of heaven is Leo, whose ruling planet is the sun. This is the only sign that the sun rules over. The closest of the 4 points is June 21st, which is in Cancer, which is why I highlighted that on the left with the red. This is where it starts. So now we know where it starts. This is the firmament, the line between the signs. Remember? The firmament between Cancer and Leo. There is a saying in the Bible that says the firmament shows God's handiwork. The firmaments are the dividing lines between signs. Now, the next passages, Matthew 3:4, John's clothes were woven from coarse camel hair, and he wore a leather belt around his waist. For food, he ate locusts and wild honey. So I'm trying to understand why camel hair and eating locusts, but I'm going to explain that to you. If we take the most famous drawing of a man, Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, and superimpose it onto the zodiac, we can make sense of that. Now, Christians will come and tell me, "Oh, the Vitruvian Man, that was in the 1400s. I could have used the dog. It doesn't matter. I just used this because it illustrates it better. So, Cancer.
But I
And
mean,
Da
he ate.
Vinci,
Yeah, wait
Da
a
Vinci
second.
knew the secrets. He was a
Right.
Mason, wasn't he?
Right, but I mean, this guy is eating locusts and honey. I mean, that's a lot like pizza and chocolate. Good on their own, but not a combination plate.
I don't
It's-
know
mm.
if you put locusts and honey together and then sort of sautéed them up, sticky candy, it'd be pretty delicious.
Well, I've heard of orange
fried
chicken, but
locusts.
okay, I'm going to give that to you. All right.
Right.
Let's assume.
So, Cancer being the head is why he eats wild honey. In Cancer, there's a star cluster called the beehive cluster. The bees produce honey. Now, remember, we started in Leo and now we're in Cancer. So that's one connecting sign. Leviticus 11, what's clean and unclean to eat. All flying insects that walk on all fours are to be regarded as unclean by you. There are, however, some flying insects that walk on all fours that you may eat. Those that have jointed legs for hopping on the ground. Of these, you may eat any kind of locust. So there it is. Katydid, cricket, or grasshopper.
Good stuff.
Which shows you why they're trying to get you to eat grasshoppers right now. Because it's biblical.
Yeah. All right.
Hey,
They
no,
can get you
look,
guys to eat it.
I've been to one of these bug dinners. Look,
No.
most of the world subsists and gets most of their
Well, there's
protein
chocolate-covered ants. They don't
from
have
bugs.
cooked legs or hop.
You go down to
but
South
we
America,
eat
you
them.
get bugs of all kinds, and they're
Yeah,
delicious.
well, chocolate-covered ants.
And
They
for some
don't
reason,
fall in.
America, we don't eat bugs, even though
No, we
like
don't eat bugs.
2/3 of the
No.
world loves
No.
these things.
Well, that's because it's the poor man's food.
Yeah,
You'll eat a lobster real quick.
Right.
those are a bunch of
Well,
little.
yeah,
lobsters.
that's a sea bug. Yeah, it's a giant sea cockroach. That's what a
I'm telling
that's
you,
what
bugs
lobster
are,
is.
and when they're seasoned good, they're like potato chips. I'm all about it.
Mhm.
yeah. Well, you
Job
can't
would-
compare
Job would have
lobster
ate-
to lobster to Jiminy Cricket. Come on, it's
I
not
can.
the same.
Well, no, it's different, but they're similar
Dun-dun-dun-dun,
looking.
dun-dun-dun-dun. Oh wait, no, he was a crab. Okay, keep going.
All right, good. So a little lower. Okay, so remember we were in Leo and then we were in Cancer. That's one sign. Now we're in Gemini. That's two signs. Look where I circled. Look at the body on the zodiac. A little lower down on the body is the clothes made out of camel hair. There's a constellation called Camelopardalis, which is in Gemini. It's a combination of two words. Camelos, which means camel. Pardalis, which means leopard. So it's the camel leopard. The ancients used to call the giraffe the camel leopard because they were like, look at this thing with spots that it's a camel leopard. That's what it is. So right now you have the head and the upper body so far. Now you're in Taurus. So now we've made 4 signs in a row. Moving a little lower on the body, you'll get his midsection, which is where he would wear a belt. Taurus represents the bull and the female is the cow, which is where you would get the leather. Regarding the belt, Orion's belt sits between Taurus and Gemini. So next would be the baptism. Now, how are we going to go from the beginning of Leo to a water sign to signify the baptism? You would go across the zodiac. Cross signs, as they are known, are the signs opposing location. So, here we see how it makes a leap from one firmament to the other. Because remember, we were in Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on the firmament of Leo. If you're on the firmament, you can talk about both signs. So the firmament of Leo and Cancer, I could talk about crabs, I could talk about beetles, I could talk about lions, I could talk about honey for the beehive cluster. The man with the water pitcher in Aquarius is personified as John the Baptist with the water. It's important to note too that John the Baptist and Jesus are always exactly 6 months apart. When you think about the fact that Jesus is born on December 25th and rises a degree a day, then that must mean that John the Baptist is born on June 24th and decrease a degree a day. This is why in John 3:30, John says, he must increase, but I must decrease. It's also why St. John's Day is exactly 6 months to the day of the birthday of Jesus. You can look up any Catholic calendar. It's St. John.
That's exactly right, and I can see the line goes straight through his camel hair. I mean that's no, it's there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the next story is the temptation of Jesus. So we're going back to the Cancer Leo firmament of July 24th. Well, this one is simple. What is 40? He's tempted by the devil for 40 days. So count 40 days. So what is 40 days from July 24th? It takes you to September 2nd. That is right in the middle of Virgo. the wheat stalk, the bread, the woman. What is the next parable? Matthew 4:3. If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become loaves of bread. Here we see the mention of the bread, which tells you that the sun is in Virgo. The next passage, Matthew 5:17 and 22. I did not come to abolish the law, and if you are even angry with someone, you are subject to judgment.
Oh, right in the scales.
Right in Libra, the scales. Now, Virgo and Libra happen to be connecting signs. Now, Matthew 7:15, 16. Beware of false prophets who come disguised as harmless sheep, and can you pick grapes from the thorn bushes? The sheep are the ram in Aries, and the grapes are Libra. Once again, these are opposing signs. Moving along, Matthew 13. Later that same day, Jesus left the house and sat beside the lake. The story now moves from Libra to the barrier between Aquarius and Pisces, as he is right beside the lake, or the two water signs. They use the word beside the lake, so you know he's in the firmament. If they said he was in the lake, he would have been in Pisces or Aquarius, but because he's between the two, he's beside the lake. Its cross sign is the Leo-Virgo firmament. As it's across from Virgo, the wheat stalk, the grains, is it ironic that the next parables are the wheat and the weeds, the mustard seed and the yeast? Moving along, the next is the fishing net parable. So you literally just go back across the Aquarius Pisces. You're touching Pisces, and you're talking about the fish. It's really simple. Gemini is the sign of two men, technically twins. However, there's just a short mention of brothers in the next passage. He's just the carpenter's son, and we know Mary, his mother, and his brother James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas. So we're in Gemini, and it ends at the firmament between Gemini and Cancer. How do we know that? Because if you follow the opposing sign from Gemini Cancer, it goes to Sagittarius Capricorn firmament. Well, you're touching Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the day of death. What's the next parable? It's the death of John the Baptist. As I've mentioned previously, the death comes at the end of Sagittarius. Now, let me just take a sentence, which sounds like it could be in the Bible, but it isn't. I just came up with this. If I say to you, the rulers were divided between war and love, it split the land in half. You could read that as a literal translation. Or, the ruling planet of Aries is Mars, who's the god of war. The ruling planet of Libra is Venus, who is the goddess of love. There is your war and love. If you connect it, it literally splits the land or the zodiac in half. And that's how they encoded things. Matthew 14, 17, and 32. But we only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. The bread and the fish are opposing signs on the zodiac, guys. The fish and Virgo, the lady with the wheat stalk. It's also why Jesus fed them with 2 fish. They're literally telling you it's Pisces. This is what the cross of God's sun looks like. This is when you connect the solstices and the equinox. We were just in Virgo, and now next is Libra, which is law and wine and oil, remember? What stories do we get? The story of the temple tax, the unforgiving debtor, divorce and marriage, and the parable of the vineyard worker. It all follows these patterns, guys. Then next is Scorpio, the betrayer. This is where Judas betrays Jesus with a kiss. And then here's where Jesus is crucified on the cross. So astrology is a language. If you understand this language, the sky speaks to you. And what I usually do is I usually stop it. This is a moment where I would stop and just start talking, see if you guys have any questions. But basically, this is basically the first half.
Well, we do.
Cool.
We do. And yeah, go ahead.
My first one is same question as earlier. What is the oldest proof that we have of the zodiac calendar?
At the beginning of my presentation, I showed you the Lascaux Caves.
Oh, it's actually in there.
What they did was you have all these different paintings, and what they did was
they lined them up with these paintings, and
they all lined up.
What was that? What was that dated to, though?
What was
17,000 to 40,000 years ago.
Yeah, 17,000 years.
And
but that's similar to Göbekli Tepe, where the pillars, they're about 20,000 years old, also show the zodiac. So
guess
around
what about
that same
Göbekli
time.
Tepe, though? Göbekli Tepe, they're covering it up and they're planting olive plants on it because olive plants can't be removed. They're covering this up.
Right now, they're trying to cover up Göbekli Tepe.
If you go to Google, you look at it, you'll just see trees lined up.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. But they're trying to hide because these people knew this way
Yeah,
before.
of course. And what's
Yeah.
funny to me too is people always say, "How could people that dumb from that long ago know about the stars?" I'm like, well, first of all, they weren't dumb. They were just as smart as we are now. And two, they didn't have television and stupid shit all day. They
Well,
had the
It's even
stars to
further
look
than
at
that,
at night.
Manu. Think about it.
Yeah.
Manu, let me
Yeah.
ask you a question, Manu. You've been in you're in LA. You're a working actor. Let me ask you a question. How many times did you see the stars with all that smog?
Never.
Exactly.
Almost
But
never.
think about this. Before industrial pollution, before anything, they could see.
It would look like
everything.
Montana. Yeah, it would look
Right,
like
right.
outside of Montana.
And-
You would, I mean, the star. If you ever go out into the deep forest with no pollution and you stare at the sky, it is gorgeous.
Yep.
And of course, the
Yep.
ancients would be studying the.
And
crap.
I live in a
They
very
saw
rural
things, which is
area I live in a rural area with very little light pollution, and I do see that. But I also think that just because they were sans technology, right? They didn't have technology, didn't mean they were stupid. They
No.
could still look up at the stars. They could still see. They could figure from the
It's
stars
not-
and the sun and the moon.
it's not that these
They knew when to
ancients told
plant.
them-
They knew when to.
Mhm.
They knew everything, right?
It's not that these
They didn't have
ancient
to look at
people-
their iPhone. They just had to remember these stories and do things
Exactly.
right.
It's not that these people
Right,
told
right.
literal stories. It's not that they told literal stories and were smart enough to take them symbolically. It's that they were symbolic and were now dumb enough
Right.
to take them literally.
Yeah.
Now we do have we're going to make this a two-parter. We're already half an hour overtime, and we have the way the show works is we have people that are lined up, callers that want to talk to you. They want to meet our guest star and they want to ask you some
Okay.
questions. Is that okay with
Yeah.
you?
And
Always.
Micah, I absolutely appreciate the presentation. Super
Yeah,
fascinating. This was
wonderful.
a fun show. I want to hear the second half.
Good.
So
We're
let's
excited
take
about
let's,
this.
Let's whenever you can, let us know, and we'll do part two.
Oh,
Let's
I'm-
take our
I'm-
guests
I'm-
one
I'm
by one.
free.
Cool, man. Let's do next. I don't know when we are. I don't know what's.
I'm
going on
actually
with
flying
the
back
show.
to New York on the 29th.
Okay.
We have a
So
guest
maybe-
next week, but the week after that we're free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll figure
Listen,
that out.
just email me, or I just started, Manu. I followed you on Twitter. You can DM me, whatever you guys want to do. Just
Cool,
get in
man.
touch with me. Let me know what slide are we
Alright.
on. Well, we're at the end of Matthew. I know where we are because this is where I stop every time.
Okay.
Mala.
So Mala, what's happening?
All right, Mala,
Mala, can't hear you.
you're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Love.
Story of my
There you
life.
go.
Always on mute. Sorry, guys. How are you guys tonight?
Great. We had a great guest. This was a fun show. I
Right?
didn't have to talk. I could just listen and get taught stuff. That's fun.
Now, do you guys understand how insane it is that the whole world is in chaos because they're fighting over
Because
this book?
they're fighting over this shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've been thinking about that all this week. I've been just thinking about how dumb it is that still to this
We're about
day,
to go into
after
World War III. because of it.
generations and generations and generations and decade after decade and century after century, we've been fighting over God and his name and what these people that have taken these
Yeah.
texts from. And it's true, like we didn't get into that a lot, but Mithra, Osiris, Zeus, all these gods, their names change. The story remains the same.
And
Because it's the same
yeah.
story. It's the
it's
story
the
of
same story about the
it's the
stars and the rising
anthropomorphic
sun. And
astrotheological allegory of the sun going through the 12 zodiac signs. That's
the
what
stars
every
and their
ancient story
movements.
was.
and
it was easier
Micah,
to teach the children through parables, through stories.
when we have more time, I have to ask you about my people, which are the gay people born in December. We're Sagittarius.
Sagittarius.
I would really like to talk a little bit more about that, but let's go to
All right,
Mala.
just be
She's been
aware,
waiting.
be
Mala,
aware.
go ahead.
Sorry, guys.
Mala.
Just plugging in. I'm about to die here.
All right. No, don't die on us. I mean,
okay,
if you want
so
to, go ahead.
my
It's
main
probably
question
the
is,
most lovely part
how
of
did
life.
you get into astrotheology?
I have two
Yeah,
mentors.
great question.
Oh, no.
I have two mentors that I studied from. And when I was comfortable enough, I started venturing out and doing my own work. Guys, when I tell you, all we did today was the Bible. So people are going to be like, oh, it's evil. I'm going to show you how it's the exact same from the Sumerians to the Quran.
Oh, that's really cool. Because I was going to ask you about the Epic of Gilgamesh and all the history
I've done
of
that.
the flood.
I've done the
and then the
My
flood
website
actually
is-
did happen, but did the stars create it?
Well, earlier than that, the Anunnaki and Mesopotamia. I'm really interested in all that stuff.
yeah. And there are 30 known gods that died on Jesus's death day, whatever that is, Easter.
Well,
is it
two were
Easter?
crucified with him. No, when Jesus was crucified, two other people were crucified right next to him.
Well, do you know what that was? The two people? Think about it. What did they
The
tell you
twins?
about the two people? One of them,
Yeah.
they were both thieves. One of them regretted his past. And the other one believed in Jesus and was anxious for his savior. They tell you the same story with Odin and the two ravens. You're talking about the failure of the past versus the anxiety of the future. It's telling you to live in the now.
Yeah.
Right.
If Jesus,
That's exactly right. Oh, Micah, that's I'm so glad you pointed that out. That's exactly right. And it's also a story of redemption too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The two people that were on the cross, either side of him. Yeah, it's brilliant. I'm glad you brought that up.
And all the parables, none of them talk about killing people in the name of. Where did that? Where did? And that's
years ago.
Some of the questions that I'd want to get into is how did astrology devolve into? Oh, this is your personality because you were born in.
Well, they which we're going to get into in the second half.
Okay.
Because I'm going to show you why it's legal for religions. It's in the catechisms. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and how they try to bend it. They always try to bend everything into satanic or demonic or this is pagan. But no, this is what you're talking about too. Okay,
it's all pagan.
Mala, did we give you a chance? Yeah, did we give you a chance? Go ahead, Mala.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I said it's all kind of pagan because all paths lead to the same center.
Yeah.
If you think about it, they're all just different perspectives of the same thing. And
people are taking this stuff literally.
I would argue, though, that in the Council of Nicaea, I would argue that when they canonized everything, and they organized all these old texts, that they did it for the purpose of controlling. They made a weapon out of.
Oh, absolutely.
I always think of the Bible as a weapon.
That's what most religions.
Oh, by the way, these patterns also work in all the Gnostic texts too. By the way.
Oh, cool! Really, I love.
Yeah, I'll show you that too.
They're like my favorite Christians.
Well, Micah, they're all universal, right? I think all of the religions you can find these things in, right? Not just the Christianic or Judeo-Christian.
At least Western. I have found this in my website is debunkmywork.com. It has all my social media on it. It has my YouTube. It has a way to contact me. It has a list of all my books, but it also has 58 texts that I have broken down.
From different religions, not just Christianity, but Judaism, Islam, and
Gilgamesh is on my webpage. I also have 8 other Sumerian tablets.
The Epic of. Yes, I think that's amazing.
Awesome. Say your website. I know it's in the description below, but will you say it one time? So
it's easy. It's debunkmywork.com.
Debunkmywork.com. I remember that.
I love it. Okay. Go ahead, Katie. Go ahead, Mala. I will just keep talking over you.
Because you and Katie, you're so much alike.
I was just saying.
But yeah, go ahead.
I know, right? I just lack the accent. But no, I was watching like all of Micah's feed, like on YouTube and all his videos on the website. And I gotta say, it's very enlightening and it's very interesting if you have the time to sit down and really read it. I even brought my dad's Bible tonight, just in case we decided to go like bibliomancy.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some of these things that you see in plain sight? Are you talking about symbols on buildings? Are you talking about secret schools like the Masons? Are you talking about on our money?
I'll give you an example. Do you remember the movie Face Off?
Sure.
Yes.
What was Nicolas Cage and his brother's name?
Well, John Travolta, Nicolas Cage.
I don't know.
Abel and Cain?
Castor. Well,
I don't remember.
And Pollux Troy. They call them
Castor and Pollux Troy. They were the twins. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And guess what?
Yeah.
What is the opposing sign of Gemini, the twins? It's Sagittarius.
What's across from it?
Right?
Sagittarius. Okay.
Sagittarius, the man with the bow and the arrow. Travolta is Sean Archer. They put this
That's
in
really
stuff.
cool.
They know this stuff.
Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do. And they know this is something we've had on the show before of how much of this stuff is hidden in plain sight everywhere. And especially in Hollywood. The secret schools and the secret knowledge, how much of it they share with us through little peaks and little encoded messages in our movies and in our commercials and everything else.
No, that I love that. It's hard. Whoops! What happened here? That's not what I meant to do. What I meant to say is here's Travis, who's apparently taking over me for some reason. But Travis, go ahead with your
Mala, wait a second. Did
I
we
don't know
get
why you're all
Mala's
big here.
question out yet?
I thought no, Mala, did we get your question? Did we get your question, Mala? Okay. Travis, what's your question?
Oh, good. Okay.
Hello. No, I have not taken over your position, Tyson. I cannot.
No, you know what? You're
beautiful. You're beautiful.
Yeah,
Tyson.
I was gonna let you be big.
Back.
Yeah, put him back.
Put it back,
cute.
Travis. Look at that pretty face.
There you go. There you go, sexy. You go, man. You go.
My question is, for Micah, you mentioned earlier, or somebody, or I think it was Tyson, just a short time ago, mentioned that most of what you were saying in this astrology and stuff you was talking about is based on Western. Now, the Far East is a lot different. They have the Chinese zodiac and such things are.
I haven't gotten to that yet. I've been doing for 12 years. I've been working on Western text every day, and there's so much to do. I have not done the Eastern philosophies yet.
Okay, and Tyson touched on something too just a short time ago. He talked about the Sagittarius, or whatever you want to call it. But
come on,
girl. Leviticus 20:13. Are you familiar with that?
I know it's
is that
a
the
Bible
gay
quote.
Yeah.
Is that
the
the one about
quote?
the sticks and burning the sticks?
Oh, I explain how it was a in the second part of this interview. You'll see that I do explain.
Do you have the quote in front of you, Travis?
Corinthians.
If a man practiced homosexuality, having sex with another man as a woman, both men have committed a despicable act.
That's NIV. That's NIV. But if you look at King James version, that's not what it says.
Yeah, and if you look even
you guys
earlier,
know King James was a homosexual demonologist, right?
Yeah, I actually did know that.
Hey, if he was hung, I'm down with it because that's the Bible
Mike is not joking.
No, I know he's
was
not.
all about the boys.
But the King James version,
bro, look it up
the
right
oldest
now.
English
demonology book.
the
You
oldest,
can buy it on Amazon.
Holy crap.
It's the oldest English translation. They didn't use the word homosexual. They used the word effeminate. And effeminate at least in today's tongue, means a lot of things. It doesn't just mean homosexual. But that word that they translated from effeminate from ancient Aramaic has different meanings altogether, not even effeminate. I mean, if you go back through the translations, there really isn't. Actually, Sodom and Gomorrah was more about showing respect to strangers and kindness and courtesy than it was two men having sex. I mean, that's not what it was about.
Well,
that
Sodom
was not
is where
what
you
Sodom
get the
and
word
Gomorrah.
sodomy from.
Yes, it is, but that's not what Sodom and Gomorrah was about. It was not about sodomy. It was not about men having sex. Sodom and Gomorrah was about an angel who went to the twin cities of Sodom and Gomorrah seeking refuge and was turned away and propositioned. But if you go back and look even at older text, I mean, now I am a Christian, born and raised a Christian, and I'm also gay, so that gives me kind of a unique perspective on the text. But yeah, it wasn't about butt sex.
And if you remember, when I read that passage and that chapter on Sodom and Gomorrah, I remember that those angels were pacified by whoever's house they were at. Don't remember the man's name, but he gave them their daughters. Lot gave them his daughters to rape, to chill them out or something. From what I remember.
Well, no, that's not how. Well, I'll get into that in a minute. In any
You want me to
case,
explain the
the angels,
homosexuality thing?
the angels asked Lot, his wife, and his daughters to leave, and they said, "Whatever you do, don't look behind you." But Lot's wife looked behind her, and she was told not to because bitch don't know how to listen to directions, and she was turned into a pillar of salt.
Do you
I'm
want me
sorry.
to
Go ahead.
explain- do you
Yes,
want me
I
to
do. I
explain-
do, Micah. Yeah,
You
explain
want
the
me to explain the
Leviticus thing.
homosexual part or the pillar of salt?
The Leviticus thing.
Yes.
So
Leviticus-
homosexuality in the Bible. So everyone knows about Leviticus 18:22, right?
Right,
The Greek
right.
word, remember, the New Testament was written in Greek by Jews. In Greek. The Greek word arsenokotai shows up in two different versions of the Bible in Greek, but was not translated to mean homosexual until 1946. In the 1800s, the German Bible said, "Man shall not lie with young boys as he does with a woman, for it is an abomination." Leviticus 18:22. Same with Leviticus 20:13. 1 Corinthians, the word arsenokotai, becomes boy molesters will not inherit the kingdom of God. Let me ask you a question. Well, listen, let me finish. If you were to grab Martin Luther's original German translation from 1534, they used the word Nabenschander. Naben is a boy and Schander is molester. The first time homosexual appears in German translation is in 1983. Let me ask you a question.
They're actually
If they're
saying
talking about boy
pedophile.
molesters and
They're not
homosexuals,
saying gay.
who benefits? Who benefits from changing it from child molester
Priests.
to homosexual?
Yeah, well, priests or molesters. Molesters benefit.
Pedophiles.
Exactly. So there you go.
Wow, that's
So
harsh.
so to be an adult gay man who has sex with adult gay men is not the problem. It's
No.
gay men
They were
having
talking
sex
about
with
pedophilia.
with
They were
children.
talking about children. Yeah.
It was originally boy molesters, correct?
I mean, some of these translations are so bad. You go back to the original, like Ethiopian text, they didn't even
Well,
realize
if
that
that's the case, though,
God was
but if-
plural. They
but if that's
missed
the
the
case-
plurality of it. It's gods
if-
all the way back.
no,
then.
I like Micah's interpretation. My question is,
I do
then
too.
why do Christians, Jews, and Muslims, Judeo-Christian, Muslim, why do they use that as fodder for homosexuality as opposed to pedophilia, which are two very different things?
Because
That's a very tricky question, probably for him to ask.
I mean, come on. Do you? I mean, it was what was it? 15 years
Christians
ago.
have
when
a
we
lot
found
of
out
hate
that
in their heart, a lot of
1,500
them.
priests.
And it's because people
in
are
the
reading
Boston area
this.
alone were committing pedophilia. I mean,
Oh yeah, the Catholic
this is
Church has
something
paid
that
out
the church has
1.5.
hid for a very, very long time. So that's why they use it, and that's why they confuse people with homosexuality being evil, is so that they can keep touching their little boys in their little
Ugh.
boys club.
All right, our next speaker is coming from England. I want to give her the stage. I picked the wrong person. Sorry, Katie. Katie, thank you for being with us, and thank you for staying up till 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, whatever it is there.
It's actually 20 to 4 in the morning here.
Ugh,
Good morning.
ugh. I thought I stayed up late. Go ahead.
No, as you know, sleep isn't my friend. No, I was wondering more on the astrology side rather than the astrotheology side.
That's not me.
maybe-
That's not me, unfortunately. But I'll listen to your question. I'll see if I can help.
Well, one thing that I've always wondered, because this has happened to me so many times, different signs really just do not mix together.
It's
I've
not the
noticed the
sign.
same.
It's not the. For example, I'll just give you a quick example. Everyone knows their sun sign, but your sun
Yeah.
sign is your ego. Okay, your
Yeah.
actual self is your rising sign, which is your ascendant.
I thought your actual self was like your rising and your moon and your
No.
and your
Well,
and
those are
it all
called
kind
those
of
are called the big three. Those are called the big three. But
okay.
who you
But
are,
your sun is your ego.
your sun is your
Okay.
ego.
So
Right.
those 12 different types of egos,
And
some
also
of them
every
clash.
chart, every chart needs to be viewed individually because they're all different. The moment you were born and they cut the cord, that's what it starts at. And your planets that are aligned, that's how they read it from there. So it's not just, a Capricorn and a Gemini. There's way more to that. There's a lot more in their background that explains why they are the way they are. This is the original psychology.
Their moon and all the other different things. There's more than just rising and moon, right?
You can't understand psychology unless you know astrology.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now, my Sagittarius sign is setting. It's not rising. Just so happens. Just so happens. Just so.
I love you, Tyson.
Yeah, I love you too, man. Okay, was that a decent
Guys,
answer?
I can only do a couple more questions though because
we're about to bounce.
Yeah, we're got the end. Yeah.
But no, I do have one more question, and that is, I mean, I'm not very familiar with the Bible. My dad's side of the family has always been Catholic, but I've always seen the symbology for it. But one thing that I wanted to see if you know anything about is you mentioned the cross that is in the zodiac.
Mm-hmm.
What about the pentagram?
The pentagram I talk about later, but the pentagram, the funny thing is Christians hate the pentagram. It was originally, it's been a bunch of things over the years. For example,
beautiful symbols have been stolen by evil.
Yeah. Like the pentagram with 1 point up represents summer and 2 points up represents winter if it's inverted. But the Christians, they used the pentagram because the 5 points of the pentagram were the 5 points of infliction on Jesus. It used to be a Christian symbol.
Mm-hmm. You'll also see it on Roman Catholic priests that they still have that stuff hanging off of them.
Also, the upside down cross. The upside down cross is not an evil symbol for Satanism. It's actually a devotion of love. It's the cross of St. John, who wanted to be buried upside down, who wanted to be
crucified upside down because he did not feel he was worthy to be crucified in the same manner in which Jesus was.
Even the Nazi swastika used to be a beautiful symbol, and now it's
I talk about that too.
Yeah, it's now considered the broken cross. That's what the swastika is. It's broken cross.
But really, it goes back to, I think, Vedic texts and Vedic symbols.
From it's astrology, and I'll explain that in the second half.
All right, cool. Well, Micah, I want to say thank you for joining us.
Our final speaker before we go. Final speaker.
Sure. All right, we have one last guy. Hey,
all
Dave.
Make it quick, Dave. Make it quick. Make it quick. He's gonna go.
Well, if you guys, I'll make it quick if you guys let me make it quick. I just wanted to thank you, Micah, for being on tonight, especially after what happened with Helene earlier this month.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Glad that you made it through. Okay.
You and your family is
thank you.
Well rebuilding.
Yeah, but I just got to say, I probably learned more in the last 90 minutes than like God knows how many years. Well,
it was fun, wasn't it? Thank you.
That was just a third of my That was just a third of my presentation. There's way more.
Yeah.
Well, we might have to do three-parter then.
I love it. This is what Dangerous Thoughts is about. New perspectives, new learning, getting the information out there. I'm fascinated.
But I know you guys, from this moment forward, you guys are all going to be looking at the Bible differently.
Oh, for sure. No doubt.
I copy my Bible, King James Version. I grew up Lutheran, born on Christmas Day.
That's right.
I'm a gay goat. but yeah, I definitely learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to what you bring it up next time.
So cool. I want to thank all of our viewers. Oh, go ahead, Micah.
I just have a question. Is everybody here gay?
No. There's mostly straight people.
I think it's about
I'm just messing. I don't care, honestly.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Manu's straight.
5,
I'm gay.
6. I'm not really straight. I'm more like bisexual.
Well, Cassie's straight.
I'm not like a true bisexual, but I'm not completely straight either.
Travis is gay as the day is long. Yeah, there's some gays.
I've been told that if you use an expired grape condom, it tastes like wine.
Well,
I'll let you know
you're
next
drinking
time
Ford
I wear a
OJ,
condom.
too.
Cassie, our
Yeah.
producer, is about as straight as they come, and he's got long hair, so that doesn't really count either.
We got a
But
nasty
yeah, no,
thunderstorm blowing over
we've got
right
a
now.
mix of all sorts of human beings watching the show and all
Yeah.
sorts of sexualities.
I was just
but
kidding, by
okay,
the way.
no, I know, it's fun. And I love to see that's dangerous thoughts too. We're not woke.
Good.
I'm all about like not offending people, but when it comes to a little bit of a sense of humor, if you're gonna get offended about a sense of humor,
Hey, I'm the biggest queer, and I tell the best gay jokes, so
You
it's
do,
all
you
good.
do.
It's all good.
Yeah. I want to
Good,
thank
because
everybody
I'm
for watching.
posting that Faggotarius quote on my
The
freaking
Faggotarius is
freaking
pretty
social
fantastic.
media.
Oh,
No, you got to use
what?
Faggotarius. Come on, that's the best thing in the world. That is hilarious. You got to use it.
No, really
All
quick,
right,
what's the count?
Dave, you got another question?
It's not actually a horse with a man with a bow and arrow. It's just the horse penis.
It's just
There you go. I love Micah.
stretched
He's
back
got to
and
come
long.
back. He's got to come back. I love this guy. This is great.
Okay, I want to
All
thank
right.
Micah Dank for joining us this evening and giving us half of his or 1/3 of his presentation on
Yeah.
astrotheology. Check out his website. Say it again one more time, Micah.
Debunkmywork.com.
Debunkmywork.com. And go learn about astrotheology. Also, like, subscribe, smash that button, and all that stuff. Check out the dangerousthoughts.show website. Check out Katie's blog. And buy yourself one of these nifty mugs while you're at it. Hit like, subscribe.
I know Occult Examiner. Occult Examiner is one of mine.
Cool, man. Cool. And I want everybody to join us next week. We're gonna have a fascinating show for you. Episode 68 or 69 is coming up. Ooh, dangerous thoughts. See you next week.
Now, this is my bonus technique, the grapefruit. Normally, you can only get this technique in one of my classes, but I wanted to share this with you because I believe every man should get grapefruited. When you grapefruit your man, it's going to feel as if you are giving him head and fucking him at the same time.
This is a caffeine suppository.
It's a caffeine what? I'm not sure I'm understanding you correctly.
You understood me correctly. It's caffeine for your asshole.
It is what I thought it is, or was.
No better feeling would he ever get than being grapefruited.
Keep this away from the infantrymen and combat jobs in the military. Keep it away from all service members.
What you want to do is make sure the grapefruit is room temperature. All you have to do is put it in warm water. Do not microwave it. Do not boil it. The reason why you want to roll it is because you want to juice it up a little bit. The juicier, the better.
Right? You want normal service members, not butt caffeine service members.
You want to take a knife and you actually want to cut one side of that navel off. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take it to the other side and do the same thing. So you should have a grapefruit that has two sides missing just like this.
That is a dangerous service member. 1 minute you've got a normal one, then you give them some butt caffeine, and then they'll show you the meaning of speed.
Now what you're going to do is you're going to put a hole in the middle of the grapefruit approximately the size of your man's penis. Now if you take it and make it too big, that's okay because you can always squeeze your hands like the muscles of your vagina. And if you make it too tight, all you have to do is take your finger and push the flesh back. It's just grapefruit.
Hey baby, how was the dentist today?
So now, your man is in the bed. You have the grapefruit already prepared under the bed. He smelled the citrus in the air. He thinks you have on some new Victoria's Secrets or something. He has no idea. And what you're going to do is be a woman of your word. Now, you have to get his penis erect. So what you're going to do is just suck his dick. That's like you said you were going to do.
Oh fuck! I can't stop laughing. When the numbing doesn't work once, not twice, 3 times the charm, you lose your face.
Once he's nice and erect, what you're going to do is replace the grapefruit from your mouth. You're going to twist up and down on his shaft and suck the head at the same time.
I can't tell if you're crying or laughing.
Take it to 'em. Ruling motivation to survive. Our side is like a jungle holding rest. of an eight. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, you need to last in the weight. Hey, gorilla hearted, I be in my chest to stay alive. Take it to 'em. Ruining motivation to survive. Rhyme beside is like a jungle, hold the rest of an eight. You couldn't hold me like a tongue, you need to last in the weight. Gorilla hearted, I be in my chest to stay alive. Hey.
The one side of your face doesn't move.
Now, ladies, remember, grapefruit is also a fat burner, so you're actually losing weight while you're sucking his dick.
Like you're smiling on that side.
Take the blindfold off. He's going to be looking at you like, what the hell are you doing? But he'll never say stop. All he's going to be thinking is, I could have been fucking a grapefruit all these years.
And you're just tone-based on this. Look, hold on. It's